I'm so excited. I'm remembering what the guests that have already come on. I'm telling everyone I have a little rose quartz crystal here that I love anyway, but I just started rubbing it, sitting here waiting for the time.
Thank
So
you for
lovely to
having
see you.
me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for joining me. And Shiva, I know we have 30 minutes. I was just going to start by giving a little bio for those people who are not too familiar with you. So you can go like this. Serge Normand did that to me. He's like, don't read the bio. I don't want to hear. I'm like, so I'm just going to go, and here we are with Miss Shiva Rose, my dear friend. So for those that you don't know, who do not know, Shiva began a blog called The Local Rose, a holistic lifestyle website to get closer to the earth and all its beauty. This desire led her on a journey that included solitary walks in forests and swimming in clean seas and meditation through her Kundalini yoga practice. What came to her one day after a moment of stillness was a message. This message was to bring beauty and luminosity to women in a way that was nourishing and nurturing. Shiva has said, quote, I wanted to show that it was possible to be green and conscious and still be chic.
Wow.
Miss Shiva Rose, I had to do that for you. How great is that? I love that. It fills me up, Shiva, and I feel right away in touch with Mother Nature herself and the planets, and boy, do we need all that right now. I mean, whether we need it or not, she's calling to us and singing to us, and there's so much going on. I want to tell everyone that Shiva and I know each other from when I lived in LA, and as actresses we met each other, and we're both doing other things now, but I have the best memories of talks with you over warm cups of tea, and I'm so not surprised that you are, even that was pre what you're doing now. I'm so not surprised that here you are. It was so makes sense what you're giving to the world with your gifts.
Thank you too. Thank you for what you're doing. I feel like it's a natural transition for us almost, you know? It's like a different type of storytelling.
Yes, yes. Oh, that gave me chills. How beautiful.
But in a way, we're unearthing authentic stories of, you know, the wisdom of the earth and stories of generations and ancestors, sort of like reviving it.
Yes, yes. And the power of the feminine, Shiva, which you do and embody so well. So I wanted to speak to you about your message about connecting to the natural world through our senses, preparing and eating nutritious food, making and using natural beauty care, your incredible use and knowledge of rituals and why that's important. I'm going to throw a lot at you. Okay. I already told you I would, because I know we are limited with time, but wholesome wellness, benefiting from the natural cycles of the earth, the sun, the moon, you know, your passion, Shiva, about the lunar cycles and how impactful the moon is for us and on us. And of course, this week's full moon, last night's full moon, right? The message of letting go. And I want to hear from you about, of course, the moon and you. Can you share why that's important to you right now to bring this out to the world?
Well, I think about over a decade ago, I was going through a really hard time. I was getting divorced. I had autoimmune issues. I was changing careers. And I was raising two girls, and I felt very alone, and I had trouble sort of feeling that self-worth and self-love. So I just started to go back to the basics and get back to the earth and the elements, and having a connection to something that could take care of me. And it was sort of like an unconditional love.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if many of us have had, you know, to be honest. I don't know, you know, God bless our parents. But I think like unconditional love is something I'm still, you know, I think we all try to learn. That's sort of like our purpose on this planet, to learn that. And I realize I can get that nourishment from the moon, from the sun.
Oh, yes.
Really, so I just started connecting with the moon, and then my cycle became regular, and then I started tracking my moods, and then I realized, you know, the days when I didn't feel so energized, it synced up with the moon. And the more I went deep in that, I realized how, of course, if it can affect the tides of the ocean, how can it not affect us? So
right.
So I long been practicing new moon, full moon, really honoring that. And then I just was like, you know what, I'm going to write all of this, because I just started stumbling upon such incredible information on how it affects the plants, how it affects the animals, farms, us, why some women bleed on the full moon, some women bleed on the new moon, and men and their hormonal differences compared to women. So I just thought I would write a course instead of just doing a blog post. I had to do it as a course, and it was amazing because I got to learn as well.
Yes. And then, you know, something about it struck me in your book, Whole Body, Shiva, when you had mentioned, which I have not gotten through the whole book, and I so look forward to, Shiva's book, Whole Body, that came out in 2018. No?
Yes, Whole Beauty.
Whole Beauty, excuse me. Whole Beauty, exactly.
But I like Whole Body. I'll take it.
Exactly. Whole Beauty. And that you were talking about from, as you mentioned it briefly just now, a difficult time in life, but I remember also something about coming through an, as you said, a certain kind of a health crisis, which I certainly can relate to, and then that bringing you to have a kind of a pivotal, major shift. There was a big pivot that you went through, and this image of you needing to connect with nature and just running out of wherever you were living out.
Thank you. Thank you for
gives
reading
me chills.
Well, yeah, that's my girls and I laugh about that because you know how some people, you know, when you blow up, which we all do, we're all human. You know, I try not to. It's very rare. But the way I blow up is I run. I just I'm like, I've had it. I run out for the hills and I just run, you know, and yeah, that was a situation where I had that, but it was, I think my second daughter was very young and it was just like I couldn't take it, like a breaking point. So, and that was just like, it goes back to, you know, maybe flight or flight situation and how we deal with things. Now, I hope I have enough wisdom and yoga, Kundalini yoga and stamina so I can actually, now I actually notice the moments where I want to run. It's great. That's what practices are for. It's great to practice in your living room when no one is bothering you and you're peaceful and the mantras are playing and the incense is burning. It's another thing to do that practice when you're, you know, on the 405 and getting yelled at, or when, you know, when you feel yourself at a blowing point. That's when these practices, and that's why this quarantine is actually great, you know, showing us really the things that we want to change in our life and the things that, how are we dealing with it? That's as much as an important issue.
Well, that's it. And how you were saying, you know, going out and, first of all, going out and running, if one can do, I think is wonderful. I agree. If I'm driving, I can't stop and go running. If I'm in a certain place, you can't scream at people. It's not appropriate. Okay. But going out and needing to release into the wild, that kind of women who run with the wolves, the call of the wild, that men feel too. If it's safe and we're not hurting ourselves and others, and we need to make change, and we just go for that instead of going for the bottle, the needle, the food, the reckless sex.
The numbing of it, the numbing. For me, I mean, that moment in the book, I think I was in a slip and I was barefoot and it was midnight. It wasn't like a jog I went on. It was like a feral run where I wanted to like end things. It was very dismal and dark. But yes, that process gets you to slow down and think. And then that became my medicine later when I did end up moving and I had my kids and I would take afternoon walks, you know, and that became my therapy. And that's where a lot of inspiration came, a lot of thoughts and ideas. I really do think, I mean, there's a reason why, you know, in Europe, if you've gone to Europe, you see these the older people walking around the squares and taking walks in the afternoon. It's like such a beautiful part of the life that maybe we've missed out here. I mean, New York, I think in New York, I mean, sadly not now, but you guys have that experience more.
Yes, yes. Yes, absolutely. There's so many things I just wanted to say that you had made me think, but something about, oh gosh, I just lost it. Okay, wait, hold on a second. Yes, did you know from your childhood, because I think people want to know, when life is really tough, which it is now for everyone to a certain degree. I agree that there's tremendous positivity and good to come out of this. We're going through a paradigm shift in a way, but did you, that sense when you had to make such a shift in your life, you were an actress in Hollywood, you know, the marriage, I don't mean to keep concentrating on that, but I think it's important for people to hear who need maybe this crisis, this virus is bringing up something in people where they have got to make a shift, whether forced upon them or not, or otherwise. And you just kind of, went out, and it's such a healthy thing to do. I know it's not nice and pretty and easy, and you went through pain, but did you grow up in a way of, with women around you or even men, of promoting that kind of listening to?
You mean like an Italian or Jewish family or something? Not a waspy family where it's all like, I'd say it was a mix of that, the upbringing. I don't know if it was really, I think my parents are passionate and they were definitely passionate in their fights and so on. But I don't know if that was taught. I think that just came from, you know, survival and having an innate connection to intuition and nature, even as a kid. I was sort of like an alien that way.
Yeah. No, I can relate to that. I mean, you were definitely around nature much more as a kid than I was being in Manhattan, but I was so called whenever I was sent away. I had a bit of a privileged youth in being sent to nature a lot of the times. And so in that just, like just drinking that in. So I guess there's parts of us that we just have, and nurture versus nature, and you were able to go to that, which I think helped you in difficult times.
Well,
and then look,
my mom, both my parents are, they're, you know, my mom was in the mountains of Yosemite right now. My dad was in Topanga for 35 years. So I guess I do get it. I have to say that's probably where it really comes from. And just knowing that that's where, you know, you feel when you're a wounded animal, you know, what do? You just try to find solace. And even now I learned so much watching my animals. They can spend hours in the garden just looking and watching and being still. And I find like I just love to sit and like look out the window. I could sit there for like 2 hours drinking my tea and just, I mean, it's something about that, you know, it's great to learn.
But that's so good to hear, because right now we're forced to to have to do that kind of stuff by most of people being inside. So people who are not able to do that, I can do that like you. I think I'm not as good as you at doing that, but I absolutely can do that. But what could you say to people now that are forced to? They have to sit and just be.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's great books. There's like Viktor Frankl, who wrote The Meaning of Life.
Oh,
you know, he was in the Holocaust camps, and he wrote the most beautiful book about, you know, just the beauty of being alive and like little moments. And I think that's what we have to find and glean, is like those little moments, those little victories. And even if it's like something within your mind or it's something you accomplish within you, and, you know, and I know it's so challenging to be alone right now for all this time. And just people are really suffering, especially with mental health issues and
that's right,
financial issues, and it's devastating. Sometimes I wonder, you know, if we're doing the right thing with that. Of course, I believe, yes, quarantining and trying to keep this virus at bay, but I don't know. It just breaks my heart, because I'm wondering what the effects are going to be. So I say meditation, as much as we can try to practice and hone that, it's going to be a place you can go into. And also for me, like being an Aquarius, being always in the future, that gives me solace. So I would say, you know, plan out your life, plan out your future. Try not to, I mean, I read a lot of Abraham Hicks. I watch a lot of Abraham Hicks, and she's all about the vibration that we are in, the vortex we are in. We create our lives that way. So if we're using this time, it's not wasted. Just keep thinking about, it's almost like being an actress. I mean, maybe this is why, you know, being an actor, you go into your imagination and just imagine where you're going to be in, you know, 6 months from now, and feel yourself riding that bicycle down that country lane, and, you know, in Maine or France, and the love you have next to you, and that peach you're biting into. And the more you do that sense memory stuff, it works. It's like it will attract it.
Amen. And I call it, what I say in my book that came out about 4 years ago, is the will to good. Is such a powerful, powerful idea. So if ever one is stuck, I'll speak for myself, the will to good, and I have so many spiritual tools like you do, but the will to good, how can I will myself to my highest self and then help others to theirs in whatever it is that my specialty is on this plane.
That's
you know. And so then not sinking down. I love the will to good. I have to, it's not mine. I forgot where I first heard it, but.
I haven't heard it before, though. I love that.
Oh, it's so powerful. And if
it's like the road to good, but it's the will to good. And it's a will, it's really your will. It's all perspective, is all your will. Are you
That's
going to get
right.
out of the mires, the depths of despair? And I know sometimes it's physical, it's actually chemical.
Yep.
And I have a lot of sympathy for that because I have been there too. And there's a lot of things we can do with plants and herbs to help the chemical property of that. However, it does, it does bounce off each other. So,
Yes. I
um,
want to say also that people can find you at thelocalrose.com, thelocalrose.com, and her books also, and information on rituals and so much for this time, particularly, everyone. And hi, everyone. Bobo, Butterfly, and PM Brand. I want to just keep acknowledging people because I tend to just go right into my guests, and I want to just say hi, hi, hi. We're so happy that you're here, everyone. Shiva, there's a quote of yours that I love, and it's what we're talking about. You had said, once you are on your true path, opportunities will present themselves. The important thing is being open enough to recognize them.
mm,
Right? And that's just
I
everything.
do believe that, yeah. Because I think if you'll start noticing signs, I think when you start connecting to your spirit guides and your angels and your guardians and the universe, that you'll start seeing signs, and you ask for signs and you will get.
Yes.
Because I've heard somewhere that they want to help us, but they have to be given permission. We have to actually physically
Oh,
say, I want your help. Angels, guides, ancestors, I need your Grandma Rose. I want your help. When you actually voice it and say it either in your mind or then they have the ability to help. And then we can start asking for signs.
but that's so
I think that
powerful. I
works.
hope everyone heard what you said, because it also reminds me of when you said in your book how that really, when you were out somewhere, whether it was on that run years ago or not, where you heard the voice of your own ancestors. You were in such a
Mm,
way of asking, and you received in the depths of this whole time. For me, I've gone through a lot of deep dives with certain
mm,
stuff that has come up and I've had to look at again from old trauma, and
yeah.
ask and you shall receive. I mean, it's so powerful.
Yes. Yes.
And
So,
all of these
yeah.
rituals that you live with, and the way you conduct your home, and you're growing your children, and what you're providing for them, and sensory and rituals and food and nutrient, all of this is accessing, is set, laying the ground to be
Yeah.
able to hear your guides more.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. You get more clear, and then you get more sensitive. That's the one issue, though, the one problem. So, like, yeah, you walk into a room and you're like, oh, I don't want to be here, and you're like, am I being crazy or am I just being sensitive because I've cleared myself so much? I mean, clear
Yes.
water, food, good air. I mean, all that will clear the pituitary, the pineal gland, and
Yes.
decalcify it, and so we'll be a little bit more awake, I
Yes.
guess.
Which is so important, Shiva, anytime, but especially now when people are suffering, or even if they're not suffering so much, they're scared because you put on the news and you hear this and you hear that, and
Well,
someone's,
that's huge too. And Abraham Hicks would say, don't do, I look a little bit to tap in because I don't want to be totally an ostrich with my head in the sand. I want to know what's going on a little bit because there's that other side of being totally in denial too. But then don't give it too much energy. You cannot have the news on 24/7 and expect to feel
no,
good. You
no.
cannot because it's the mind. And I read somewhere too that we are people, our bodies, our minds are so powerful. People have gotten this virus and then gone to get tested and don't have the virus. It's like,
Wait, say that again, Shiva. They've gotten it where?
they have the symptoms and then they've gotten tested and they haven't but even the testing I would be wary of. I don't know. I'm a little bit more on the side of let's just do our part, but not feed into that too much.
Exactly. And then focus on what you do have control over, which is how you have laid out your days and how you're helping people. Can
And
you
how you
tell me
have it.
more about that?
Service is incredible. Service is definitely, it gets you out of your own, your own mire, and it gets the connection going. It's like tithing, whenever you want some more income, tithe or donate or give something to people,
Absolutely. And I mean, absolutely being of service, and as you're doing professionally and vocationally, how you found, because some people can hear that and think, oh, volunteer. No, which is great. I mean, it's all, but setting up one's vocation, one's livelihood, thriving. You speak about also
Mm.
thriving as opposed to just surviving. From this place, what a wonderful way to live, because you found your thing, your talent, I mean, obviously you have a lot of talents as we all do, but
Thank
this
you.
just, you're in your
Well, you know, it's interesting. All those years as an actor, you did too. I mean, that was like my passion, my biggest. I never thought I would not want to act. I mean, that was like I breathed and ate and lived it. And then suddenly one day, you know, when I went through that transformation about 11 years ago, and I had to raise 2 kids, and I had to, and then I really, it's so interesting. But all of that feeds into this, so it's not
All
wasted.
of it.
It's not ever wasted.
Exactly.
Your path may be a different path, but it still will, you know, you'll realize why you had to do all the things later, you know.
Totally, totally, totally. I wanted to ask you, okay, let's ask this because I'm very aware that I only have you for a short amount of time. Okay, great. Let's see. So I think you answered that. How you deal with, well, are you self-idol? I mean, you have your children around you, Shiva, right?
Well,
Now.
my older daughter is older, but she's still here, and then my younger one is 14, so I'm with her too. Yeah.
Okay, and are there any tips that you have for especially mothers who have a 14-year-old at home for how you kind of are getting through these times?
Oh, it's a challenge. You definitely need time on your own. You definitely need your bath time. You know, if you can take a walk around the block, you definitely need that for
Oh
sure.
my gosh. Yeah.
And we were recently somewhere else, and I felt like I was like cooking and cleaning, and you know, I was like exhausted. I was just like, there's no, people are like talking about being bored. I'm like, you know,
I don't get that.
I was like, wait a second, I need like, that would be a luxury to be bored right now.
Let me tell you, I don't have kids at home. And there's no reason to be bored in this time. I feel like maybe I'm saying that and I sound too harsh because people are allowed to be wherever they are. God bless.
It's like that saying, it's only boring people are bored. I mean, there's something to be said. Like, there's so much. You can do anything. Yeah, I know human contact is so vital and important, and that's what we do. But if if you can have that, then stimulate the brain by all means.
Well, of course. You know? And just think about the people who have nothing. I mean, we have homes and we can feed ourselves. Just starting with that. We don't even have to think about that. I mean, that's
gratitude is it, right? Just
gratitude, which is what I think about when I think about you. I just think of all of this Earth Mama, pink, crystal. I mean, and I don't want to just list it like it's nothing because these are all kind of, we all hear this. But you guys have to get her book, Shiva's book. Hi, everyone who's on. Hi, PM Bara. Hi, Emily. Okay, and what do you think, Shiva, if you could answer, what is the single best lesson you've learned? And maybe you've already answered this, but during any of your past difficult times of life that you can use during this time?
During this time, well, I would say definitely all those yoga practices.
Well, what's one, though? Speak about one. Could you give me an example of a kriya?
Of one kriya. Well, I would say also don't be reactive. You know, I think maybe that's like, you know, if somebody sends you something or something happens and you know, our senses and our nerves are so, just don't jump, don't take the bait, have a moment. And that's being in the feminine. Because I think so many of us are used to this masculine, fast pace, like, let me react, let me send an email right now, blah, 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 you know, like, so, no. The feminine, which is being in our power, is like taking a moment and like, you know, let me sit on this. Let me sit with this. We definitely have time, you know.
We definitely have time. But that's so powerful. Just
it is
taking a pause.
It's like, have you ever been around those people who talk really soft?
Say it again, sorry.
Those people who talk really soft and slow, and you're like inching closer and you're like, what are they? But they like have the power too, because you're just like, what are they? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you get really
time. Yeah, they're taking their time and they're slow and they're soft and it's power. So I think it's about that. I think maybe that's what this has taught me too. I'm usually such a hummingbird and then such a frenzy to do everything, and I'm trying to like, you know, slow down.
Yes. To hear you say that is so honest and authentic, and thank you, because we don't see you that way. And you and I are friends. We haven't been around each other in person in so long. I just think you kind of live with your beautiful chanting and your incense. You get a love, you know, and it's funny and it's so important for all of us. You know, people have said to me, they just think I live a certain way. It's like, what? No, we're all human and we all have to be
Oh,
reminded of the
yeah.
tools that even we're teaching.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We're human. We're not, I mean, you know, maybe some people have staffs of people and can, maybe
No.
that they have a different reality, but
Yeah.
no, definitely. And it gets dark sometimes, but that's also the moon teaches us that. The moon
The
goes
moon.
through phases. It changes, it fluctuates, it gets dark, it gets thin, it gets heavy, it gets full, it gets just like we do, just like women do. And that's how we can learn from the moon too. It wanes, it waxes, it, you know, it's fluctuating
That's
always.
right. Always. Shiva, before, because I know you have to go soon, I only had her for 30 minutes, makes me so
I
sad.
know, I'm so sorry. We'll do it again.
Tell me something though. I mean, before I give you two rapid fire questions, which are my end questions, your dreams. So many dreams right now during this period are so vivid for so many people. Are you remembering any dreams? I don't want to hear them, believe me, but I'm just saying.
Oh, yes, yes. I'm having very vivid dreams. That's true. I didn't even think you're right. Very
It's a
vivid.
big thing right now. People are really having immense, incredible dreams full of stories. And you know, with the Jungian way of looking at dream analysis
Yeah,
is so powerful. It's so,
collective. It's also the collective unconscious, like
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. So Shiva, before I let you go, rapid fire. Does Shiva Rose prefer making a home cooked meal? I love saying does Shiva Rose, or performing an at home body care ritual?
Ooh, can we do both?
You can do whatever you want, lady.
I would say both, which is like
Pick a
daily.
meal quickly and pick a ritual quickly.
A meal?
Yeah, what meal do you love to make at home and what ritual do you love to do?
Oh my gosh, I would love to pick stuff from the garden, you know. Like recently I'm really into fava beans sauteed with fresh garlic and dill and tomatoes, with like sea salt and olive oil.
Oh,
Like,
yum, yum, yum,
simple,
yum, yum.
simple.
Come
And then
over
as
and
far
cook for me, baby.
and then as far as a beauty ritual, I would say, you know, you can make your own beautiful things like 1 cup of oil, half a cup of sugar if you want to do sugar scrub, and a few essential oils and some flower blossoms, and
Oh,
you can rub that all over your body and get in the bath and
oh,
play a mantra and
divine feminine.
there you go. Yes.
Okay, and then how does Shiva Rose have fun?
Oh my gosh, let me
Come
see.
on,
That's a
Shiva, you have a minute. Let's
question.
go, baby.
I think being
Yeah,
goofy,
totally.
putting on music, dancing, joking with my girls who get me, you know, or my partner, you know, I think that. But to be honest, probably going to the land and just like checking out, not having the phone, not having the computer, taking mushrooms and being on the land.
Beautiful. Shiva, this is gorgeous. I want to read you 2 lines of a poem that I got from Guru Singh, a mentor of mine, and I'm sure of yours. I love him, miss him. I mean, because I'm not in LA, I miss him, he's alive. That I got on his email list this morning, and it just made me think of our conversation. This is from one of the indigenous peoples of the land. It's not accredited to a particular person or group. Quote, everything's dying to be reborn. Infant day is the early morn, brightly moving through the day to end into the night where it's born again. And it just made me, ooh, chills. Think of you.
That's beautiful. You know why? Because I think this time that we're embracing so much death and darkness, what it's going to do is make us embrace life and living even more. That's the ultimate.
Cheers! Shiva Rose, get out to
Thank you so much.
Okay,
It's been so
love
good
you,
seeing
adore
you.
you, miss you. Thank you for this.
Thank
and
you for
everyone,
having
before
me.
Shiva leaves, thank you everyone for being
Yes,
with us.
thank you, everybody.
We'll have Shiva
Thank
another time.
you. Thank you.
Stay
Bye,
well.
love. Bye. Bye.